Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1995 Toyota Land Cruiser. Up front is a 4.5 liter straight six and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I'm super excited to be driving this here Land Cruiser for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's JDM. It's Japanese, so as you can see I am driving on the right side of the vehicle. That's always a little bit of a treat for me. The second reason is the fact that I love Land Cruisers, you guys love Land Cruisers, and I'm all about bringing you guys cars that you like that I get to show off. Last but not least, we are filming today in bright and sunny, beautiful Pontiac, Illinois, and there's just no better place to be, huh? Huh? Okay. All right. Before we get on with the rest of the video, if you are looking to help out the channel, there are a couple links in the description below from our awesome sponsors. One of which is Cash for Cars if you're looking to sell your used car. One is from Fixed, a Bluetooth OBD2 sensor to help diagnose your vehicle, and another from Conplates. Conplates is a suction cup license plate mount for your vehicle in case you don't want to drill into your front bumper. Each purchase or quote goes towards helping the channel, and it's greatly appreciated, so let's get on with the video. So let's get back to that 4.5 liter straight six. That is a big straight six for a vehicle to have. According to the owner, it's been nicknamed a fuel-injected tractor motor, and it makes 212 horsepower, 275 foot-pounds of torque, which is not bad from a straight six gasoline engine. It feels pretty torquey. I wouldn't necessarily call it overly fun to drive. It doesn't have like a sporty feel to it, but it definitely makes the power, and that's sort of the reason for the Land Cruiser. All right, 4.5. All right, 4.5. It's a dog. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Nothing really going on there. It's a Toyota 4-speed. It is what it is. Last but not least about the Land Cruiser is the fact that it is 4-wheel drive. We'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. With that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of analog gauges. On the left, I have my oil pressure and coolant temperature. Then I have my tachometer, and on the right, I have my speedometer, battery voltage, and fuel. On the steering wheel, I don't actually get anything. It says Land Cruiser right in the middle. 95 is before the era of airbags in Japan, so no airbag there, but it's nice and thin and I like the feeling of it. To the right of me, I have my fog light switches, power mirrors, and my headlight washers, which is fantastic. And on the door, I just have my power locks and power windows. Moving into the center, I do have a digital clock as well as a vent. And down below that, we get a bunch of fun 90s buttons, mainly the power antenna up and down switches. And then I have my rear defrost and hazard switch. And off to the right, I have an entire cluster of climate controls. I mean, these are rowdy, to say the least. Of course, it is in Celsius as well, so it goes between 20 and 30 degrees. But I do get auto, which is a very nice feature. I don't get dual zone or anything like that. Off to the left, I have an aftermarket radio, because this comes from that era. And then down below the climate controls, I have my suspension settings. So I can either put it into normal suspension, which it's in right now, or sports suspension. It's gonna stiffen it up a little bit. Then I also get my controls for the rear fan, high and low, as well as my rear cooling switch. Then I get a little pull-out ashtray, a 12-volt outlet, and then we're moving on to the center console. This is where you can select your 4-wheel drive. It just says high or low. It assumes you know the difference, and when it's in neutral, it's in 2-wheel drive. To the left of that, I have some transmission settings. I have power mode, which is basically a sort of sport mode for Toyota transmissions of the 90s. And then I have second. This will lock the Land Cruiser in second gear. This is nice for climbing hills, starting off in the snow, things like that. Off to the right, I do have a cup holder way at the front. We'll do a whole cup holder test here in a second, but we do have the shifter down below. Very, very typical Toyota shifter. This looks like every other Toyota shifter I've ever shifted before, and it is fine. It does have that red button up top for the shift lock release. Then on the center console, I have some coin holders and a big area here, which could be interpreted as a cup holder. And then I have the center console, which opens up at the top and opens up at the bottom. So really nice that you get a multi-function center console. So now let's do a rapid fire big friggin' bottle test. The added vent cup holder, the cup holder that comes out of the dash, the cup holder up in front of the shifter, the cup holder in between the coin holders, the cup holder by my hip. Now we gotta talk about the seats. I love the material of the seats. The seats are nice and comfortable. And Japan really knew what they were doing when it came to seats, especially in the 90s. Most 90s Japanese cars, especially Japanese domestic vehicles that I drive, have really, really comfortable seats. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 1995 Toyota Land Cruiser from Japan. I picked these pants thinking that you guys would never see them. But these are my Christmas pants. They got little Volkswagen buses on them and a Volkswagen Bug, and they got wreaths on the front of the buses. So here's a little slice into my life, I guess. But the back seats of the Land Cruiser, let's get back to the point of this video. Really, really nice fabric back here. It is this sort of cloth material like the front seats, same as the front seats, that Japan was using back in the 1990s. Every car I drive from Japan that has these cloth seats, I absolutely love. They're super, super comfortable. They're plush. They're warm when you want them to be warm. They're not hot and sticky in the summers either. It's a really good blend. I do have ashtrays in the doors, and I have grab handles. I have this little light here if I want to toggle that on and off, but nothing too crazy. This is my driving position. My knees are smashed a little bit. The LX Lexus that I drove from the early 2000s had a little bit better of a back seat, but definitely not complaining. Now we will hop around the back and take a look at the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, there's actually a wind advisory today, so if you're hearing my voice at all, consider it a victory. I do have this spare tire on the back here, held on like that. There's this little handle right here you pull and that releases, and then we can open up this rear hatch. Now it doesn't want to stay up on its own. Unfortunately, after 25 years, maybe today's the day, ladies and gents. Maybe today's the day. Anyway, I'm gonna hold it anyway. But as you can see here, you can pull this, and this pops down like a regular tailgate, which is super, super, there it goes. Nope, can't do that. Stop it. So as you can see, you get a tailgate as well as a tailgate. And this is actually put in by a previous owner. So normally there would be back seats back here, but this is a sort of camper little area, a little Bunsen burner there and stuff. But normally there would be back seats back here. However, they have converted, these actually fold flat on top of those seats, and it's a place to sleep. So this is an overlanding Land Cruiser. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love the look of the 95 JDM Land Cruiser. I think it's super unique and interesting, and when you see it, they just look beefy. I love that look. They really look like they can climb over anything, drive through anything, and I think that's so important for a vehicle that actually can do those things. One thing I do want to point out that's specific to the Japanese domestic market Land Cruiser is when you turn on the turn signal, it also turns on a little sort of courtesy light or turning light to illuminate your new path. Now here in America, we never got that because that wasn't really a common thing on our vehicles, but in Japan that actually was a fairly common feature, so of course they gave it to the Japanese Land Cruisers. But now let's get to my final thoughts here on the 1995 Toyota Land Cruiser imported from Japan. Well, I love this thing wholeheartedly. I think these Land Cruisers are just fantastic. I recently drove a Lexus LX, which is basically the Lexus version of the Land Cruiser. Now that one was newer than this one, but it still had that ruggedness that this has, and boy is this thing rugged. When the end of the world comes, and every day it seems like it might be sooner and sooner, I don't want to be behind the wheel of anything else besides a Land Cruiser. Yes, this engine feels like a boat anchor, but it's a reliable boat anchor. You don't build a house on sand, you build it on stone, and that's what this engine is. Now here in the States, the Land Cruiser didn't have any trim levels. You just bought a Land Cruiser. But over in Japan, there was two, and VX was the top trim level, a more luxury-oriented trim level of the Land Cruiser. This has nicer features like that rear AC we talked about, like the adjustable suspension. But even with those added features, this still is nearly as basic as it comes. The Land Cruiser is a hammer in a world of wrenches. I'm on my second or third set of wrenches from doing engine swaps on my RX-7s, and just owning an RX-7 in general tends to wear out your wrench set pretty quickly. But I'm still on my first hammer. I've never needed another hammer. The only reason you would ever buy a new hammer is because you lost your old hammer, and that's what the Land Cruiser is. It's a Japanese hammer. It's not flashy. It might not take your breath away pulling up outside your house, but day in and day out, it's gonna work. and boy does this thing work. Huge thank you to Max from Cool Stuff in Weird Cars. Their channel will be linked in the description below. They post some really cool videos as well, and if you want to keep up with their journey with this here Land Cruiser, I'd highly suggest subscribing to their channel. It's really, really cool, and I appreciate them driving all this way just to review this here Land Cruiser. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.